in the spring of 221 BC, when the last vassal laid down his arms to Qin, no one realized that this was not an ordinary victory in a war. This was not another city's fall and country's destruction, but an unprecedented change in 2,000 years. A brand new form of state will be born on this land, but no one could have reached this point alone. Behind Qin Shi Huang stood was built by his 6 ancestors over 600 years, built by his 6 predecessors over 600 years. Shang, Yang Shifu, King Howen, King Wu expanded territory. Zhao Xiang became emperor. The blood and ambition of 6 kings turned into the cornerstone of this unification. Let's go back to the place where it all began, Guangzhou. On the fertile land of the Waishui River Basin, the natural danger of mountains on both sides formed a natural fortress. The only passage to the central plains is the world-famous Hanyu Pass. The pass is narrow, only allowing one carriage to pass. The so-called one man guards the pass, and no one can pass. This is exactly what it means. Over the centuries, the 6 kingdoms coalition armies attacked it countless times, but never successfully crossed this barrier. The true power of this fortress lies not in the walls, but in the system. In 356 BC, a down and out noble from Wei State, Shangyang, a down and out noble, came to Xianyang, brought Qin Shagao. Legalist reform that completely changed the fate of Qin, abolished the Jinshin system, reward military merit. These policies were seen as ruthless at the time, but it forged the state of Qin into a World War machine. When Ying Zheng was born, Qin was already the most powerful country in the world, but he didn't know that the course he was about to accomplish was far more difficult than conquering the 6 states, because what he wanted to build was not a larger kingdom, but a brand new world. In 259 BC, Ying Zheng was born in Handan, Zhao State. He didn't even have a name at that time, because his father, Yiren, was a hostage in Zhao, with a low status, and could be killed at any time. Young Ying Zheng followed his mother, fled in a foreign land to avoid being killed, and even basic survival was difficult to guarantee. A 9-year-old boy than any adult, understood fear earlier than any adult. Li Buwei, who would later become future Prime Minister of Qin State. At a critical moment, he reached out a helping hand. He used all his financial resources and made connections, and escorted Yiren and the young Ying Zheng and his mother back to Qin. Lu Buwei believed that Ying Zheng owed him his life. This moment later dangerous foreshadowing, and he did use this, too, and finally became the de facto ruler of Qin. In 24/7 BC, only 18-year-old Ying Zheng inherited the throne, but he faced a court dominated by powerful ministers, Empress Dowager Zhao Ji and her mother's old favorite Lao Ai, with thousands of guests, with complex power structure. But the one who really held the military power of Wei was his prime minister, LVB Wei. The young king could only endure and wait for the moment. The opportunity finally came on a secret night. Ying Zheng launched a surprise attack with thunderous force, and sent troops to surround Lao Ai's palace. After a night of fierce fighting, Lao Ai was defeated and captured, and was executed. His thousands of followers were exiled to Shi. His wife was killed. That night, the young king declared to the world, there was only one sword in the scabbard of Qin, which is the king's power. Immediately after that, Ying Zheng turned his attention to his mentor LVB Wei. A decree of demotion kicked him out of the power center. LVB Wei finally committed suicide by drinking poison, ending his legendary life. But the real turning point of this story, turning point is not the downfall of LVB Wei, but in the emergence of a person, Li Si. Li Si came from a poor family, and worked as a petty official in Qi, but he had lofty aspirations. He once said a famous quote, "Selflessness is called being able to analyze." So the mouse in the barn is different from that in the toilet. He believed that people should be like mice in the barn, occupy a favorable position, and obtain the greatest benefits. After he came to Qin, he proposed a shocking strategic suggestion to Ying Zheng. Don't wait for the opportunity, but take the initiative, and unify the world by force. In 226 BC, Wang Jun, a general of Qin, breached Handan, the capital of Zhao. King Zhao Qin surrendered. The 1/3 of Jin state, the powerful vassal state, was destroyed. The news reached the northern state of Yan. Prince Don of Yan fell into despair. Yan was only 1/10 the size of Zhao. It was inevitable that it would be his turn next. When Prince Dan was a hostage in Zhao's start, he was friends with Ying Zheng, who was also a hostage. But when Ying Zheng returned to Qin and ascended the throne, Prince Dan was sent to Qin as a hostage. He was treated coldly and humiliated. With hatred and fear, he fled back to Yan. He swore to take revenge on Ying Zheng. But now, facing the powerful Qin state, what can he do with only anger? In this desperate situation, a knight stood up, Jing Ke. He was not a professional assassin, but a martial arts genius who lived in the market. Prince Dan prepared the most precious gift in the world, the most precious gift to buy his courage, a magnificent city, countless money and beauties. But Jing Ke said he didn't come for these. What he wanted was the chance to be remembered in history. Prince Dan and his ministers were on the Yu River just off Jing Ke. Everyone was wearing white mourning clothes, singing a sad song. Gao gently played the zhu. Jing Ke sang a song with a tragic and desolate voice. That eternal classic has since resounded throughout China. The wind is whistling, the water is cold, the brave will never return. This is not the mood an assassin should have before departure, but more like a warrior going to the final battlefield. In 227 BC, Jing Ke embarked on the journey to Xianyang. He claimed that he brought Fan Yi's head and Zhikan's map to ask to see the king of Qin. According to the etiquette of the state of Qin, only those wearing court clothes and crowns could meet him. But when Jing Ke stepped into the hall, everyone silently prayed or mourned in their hearts. The development of events was as sudden as lightning. As he presented the map and slowly unfolded the map, revealing the dagger, at the end of the seemingly ordinary map, there was a poisoned dagger hidden. In the blink of an eye, Jing Ke grabbed Ying Zheng's slave with his left hand and raised his right hand to stab the dagger. However, fate played a cruel joke at this moment. The sword on Ying Zheng's body was too long and couldn't pull it out in a hurry. He could only run around and ran around the huge bronze tripod to escape. But Jing Ke chased after him closely. Ministers were terrified, but they couldn't bring weapons into the hall according to Qin's law. They could only watch this life and death chase helplessly. Finally, the doctor's ear walked through his medicine bag at Jing Ke and gained precious seconds. The guards rushed up and subdued Jing Ke. The first to fall was Han. In 230 BC, Qin's King Zhang sent Nishiden to attack Han. Korea was the weakest among the 7 warrior states. It had a small territory. It was sandwiched between the 3 powerful states. It was already dying. Its demise encountered almost no resistance. King Huan opened the city gates, and Han officially disappeared from the map. Interestingly, although Han was weak in national strength, it made amazing contributions in the field of technology. They invented the world's, the earliest compass, Sinan. But no matter how exquisite the instrument is, could not point to a way to survive. The fall of Han was like the first domino. The first domino. The fates of the other 5 countries have begun to turn. Zhao was the hardest bond for Qin to swallow. The hardest bond to chew. From the painful memory of killing 400,000 Zhao soldiers, the famous general Zhu Li twice, to repel the Qin army twice. The people of Zhao have an unyielding spirit. Wang Jian spent 3 years to capture Handan. The last resistance of Zhao even lasted today. But the tragedy is that Zhao was not defeated by the Qin army's blade, but through its own infighting. The counterintelligence plot made King Yuan kill his greatest general, Lei Mu. The Zhang army without Lei Mu was like a shell without a soul. Wang Jian captured Handan in one fell swoop. The fall of Zhao proved that, an iron law of ancient warfare, the most terrifying thing is not the enemy's sword, but internal betrayal. The capital of Wei at that time, Dalian, one of the most fortified cities in the world. The thick rammed earth walls and moss formed, almost insurmountable defense system. But Qin came up with an extremely sinister method to flood the city with the Yellow River. The surging flood washed away the outer walls of Dalian. The city was destroyed in the water. King Ji of Wei surrendered, and Wei was destroyed. This was the first time in Chinese history. The first time that water attack was used as. Wei was once in Chinese history, richest and most cultured country. It was the first state in the early Warring States period, and the most important academic center outside Jixia Academy. But under the impact of iron and water, most of its cultural heritage was wiped out. The irony of history is that the countries that woke up earliest often perish first. Among all the six stacks, the most powerful opponent of Qin was Chu. The state of Chu had a vast territory, occupying the entire middle and low reaches of the Yangtze River. It had a large population and rich in resources. Huangdi, an old general of Qin army, led 200,000 troops, but ended in a disastrous defeat. With heavy losses, Ying Zheng realized that, to defeat Chu, he must do his best. The veteran General Wang Jian was appointed. His condition was that, I need 600,000 troops, which meant that Qin state almost went all out and put all its elite troops on the line. Ying Zheng agreed. It was a high-stakes gamble that could not afford failure. After Wang Jian led his army into Chu, he adopted a steady and steady strategy. He built strong camps and did not fight and never fought easily. He was waiting for the Chu army to show flaws due to impatience. The Chu army waited for a long time without seeing Qin army. Finally, they couldn't hold back and began to retreat eastward. Wang Jian immediately ordered a full-scale pursuit. If not now, when? When else? The Qin army killed and slaughtered in the pursuit and captured the capital Shaochen, capturing King Chu Fui Chu. A year later, Li of Qin chased the remnants of Chu to Jiangnan and set up Chu County. The largest vassal state, Chu, collapsed. After the fall of Zhang, Yan had no barriers to rely on. Ying Zheng personally led the army to attack Yan. Yan's crown Prince Don sent Jing Ke. The assassination plan had failed. Now the state of Yan can only rely on its fragile forces to fight a desperate battle. The Qin army was unstoppable. Approaching Zhicheng, Prince Don was forced to retreat to Liaozhou and was finally killed by Yan King Sighed for national security. In 220 BC, Wang Ban, a Qin general, captured Liaozhou, capturing Yan King Sighed. Yan was completely destroyed. But the most profound mark that Yan left on future generations was not the failure of the war, but the courage of Jing Ke's assassination of Qin Shi Huang. The heroic spirit of facing death with courage, it transcends success or failure, has become one of the most moving spiritual symbols. The last one to fall was Che. At this time, King Jian of Che had completely lost his fighting spirit. Hou Shang, the prime minister, was bribed by Qin and constantly advised King Che to give up resistance. While the other 5 countries were fighting bloody battles, Che always took a wait-and-see attitude, watching Han, Zhao, Wei, Chu, and Yan fall one by one, thinking that as long as he offered enough tribute, Qin would let it go. In 221 BC, Wang Ben led an army south from Hebei and headed for Lindsay, the only one among the 6 states that power that had never experienced a real war. It died without a fight. The Che army was demoralized. The king of Che saw that the gates were not opened and did not organize resistance, and surrendered directly. When the Che army laid down their weapons, the first time in Chinese history that a unified situation appeared, the more than 500 years of division came to an end. In October 221 BC, Ying Zheng made a shocking decision. He no longer called himself king, but to create a new title. He summoned his ministers to discuss a new title. Prime Minister Wang once suggested that Your Majesty led the army to suppress rebellion and pacified the world. There has never been such a thing in ancient times. Even the 5 emperors couldn't compare. Ying Zheng said, remove Tai. Zhi Huang means the emperor of ancient times, and combined the lands of the 3 kings, and called it emperor. This is the first birth of the great title. The first birth of the title. The emperor represents brilliance and holiness, and the emperor represents supreme. He was the first emperor. He hoped that the second, third, and even future generations, forever. The first major reform after unification was to unify writing. Before that, 6 countries used different writing systems. The same character was written differently in Che and Chu, just like the differences between different languages. Officials often had misunderstandings in conveying orders. Li Si was ordered to compile kanji, to unify the national writing into standard Shaozhong. This was the first time in human history that the government, large-scale standardization movement of writing. The far-reaching impact of this reform can't be overemphasized. Just imagine, if European countries continue to use their own, completely different alphabets and spelling systems, how could the EU concept be established? The same written language made Chinese people can still write the same set of characters. 2,000 years later, Taiwanese and mainland Chinese Read the same Chinese characters. This is the most enduring legacy left by the first emperor. Then came the same track. Standardized the distance between the two wheels of vehicles, so the national highways could be traveled freely. Then came the unification of weights and measures, and promoted the same length, capacity, and weight standards. Finally, there was currency reform, and abolished 6 different currencies, and issued the Chen Banlian coin with a round hole. He also presided over the construction of a national highway network, which can be called ancient expressways. In the past, when trading between different countries, every time you crossed the border, you had to recalculate, which was extremely inconvenient. The longest one starts from Xianyang, the capital, which runs through Zhiyuan in Inner Mongolia, over 1 meter in length. In addition, waterways connecting the 5 major water systems. Waterways were also included in the unified plan. In the 10th year after unification, Ying Zheng ordered to connect the original Great Wall, the Great Wall in the north of Yan, Zhang, and Chen styles, forming a great wall across the northern frontier. Hundreds of thousands of laborers built this giant barrier. Some say it is the most magnificent defense project in history, while others say it is a symbol of tyranny. It was built with countless lives of the people. The completion of this transportation network, allowing central decrees to spread across the country in days, completely changed the previous information transmission. The efficiency bottleneck of the post horses. Our fees are not wrong. The Great Wall is both a proof of imperial glory, but also a complaint of excessive labor. Meanwhile, in his hometown, Lishan Mountain, an unprecedented tomb was also under construction. The underground palace took 300,000 people, and took over 30 years to be basically completed. The terracotta warriors inside are famous for that, and finely crafted armor are world famous. Each terracotta warrior is a unique work of art. Some have frowns, some with slightly raised corners of the mouth, some look into the distance, as if everyone was waiting for their mission. Archaeologists are still deciphering the secrets hidden in this tomb. From a young prisoner in Huangdi to the new emperor in Xianyang, Ying Zheng spent 38 years to complete this path. He spent 10 years to end an era, but only 12 years of rule for himself. But the emperor system and unified framework he created, but under the name, have been passed down for more than 2,000 years. The unification of Chen Shai Huang came to an end. The first unified empire he founded in Chinese history. Like a shooting star across the night sky, brief but dazzling. But history never really stops. 200 years after his death, a more powerful and glorious dynasty was about to rise. That was the era of the Han Dynasty, a new era that would rewrite the fate of East Asia. The next season of the Chronicle of the Central Plains will take you into the legendary era of the Han Dynasty. It will take you into the legendary era of the Han Dynasty, from Liu Ban's humble civilian origins to his unification of the whole nation, from Empress Louis' Iron Fist to Emperor Wu, and opening up the Silk Road. We will also tell the adventures of Zhang Qian in the western regions, Sima Qian endured humiliation to write Shai Ji, and the trade network that changed the world. The birth of the trade network. Welcome to subscribe to the Chronicle of the Central Plains. Stay tuned.